I am here with Grace. We just finished an 8-week Magic and Microdosing group coaching program. Thank you, Grace, for taking a moment to share your experience. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Matt. I'm doing wonderful.
Great to hear it. What motivated you to start microdosing?
Oh, that's such a big question. Honestly, I think our connection call back in May was a divine intervention on some level. I made a huge life change, career change, quitting medical school on purpose because two-part reason: to save my own life and to be practicing as a healer that's more aligned with my vision of what healing is. I was very dismayed by kind of the allopathic medicine realm, and I was searching for something. And I came across your name and I started looking into your work and saw your book. And I thought, microdosing, what is this? And it was planted a seed 12 months ago by a dear friend, and I just wasn't ready for it. And I think this life shift had to happen to be able to start this conversation. And you were the second soul on this planet that said to me, what a brave declaration. Those are your words, brave declaration, when I shared with you my story. And I thought, this is a soul that I need to align with. And if this is him, he's going to bring in amazing souls. And I want to do this microdosing with others.
Love to hear it. Yes, it definitely felt like serendipity, and I honor your courage to follow your truth and to make that bold, brave declaration, and to make that commitment to living a life aligned with your heart, aligned with your values, aligned with your vision. And it was wonderful to have you part of the Magic and Microdosing. What was the experience like for you?
Oh my goodness. It was like otherworldly, honestly. It was, I think healing within a group of humans has been something I've never practiced before. In our culture, it's always therapy, kind of one-on-one connection. But with microdosing, I was healing with other humans in our weekly group discussion. But more than that, I kind of liken it to, this came to my mind this morning while I was running. It's like being in a cocoon. So you're healing in this cocoon, but then microdosing kind of opens up that cocoon. And then you're this like beautiful butterfly, and you're still in the process of growing. You haven't like flown yet, but you've been open. Like I just felt like my body was open to the past hurts, more clarity. And that was the missing link in a lot of my healing for the past decade. I felt like I felt like in the last decade, my healing was so linear. It was like very masculine energy. Like if I go to therapy sessions, if I read these books, if I do this practice of, whatever, I was missing a link. And that's, I think, like I said, divine intervention, the microdosing. I was like, I need something organic. I need something feminine. I need Mother Nature to guide me. And that's what this was.
Love it. Can you speak to the feminine nature of the plant medicine and how it fosters and invites safety for change?
I love that. Absolutely. I noticed in the 8 weeks of this journey that I was given a permission to just ebb and flow. So if something came up, I mean, I always use the word bubbling during our group discussions, but that's what it kind of felt like. It was this gentle resurgence of maybe a particular memory, something that I just really suppressed for years in my body. And the feminine, I mean, it ebbs and flows, right? It's kind of chaotic energy. That's what the feminine is. And so I was allowed these opportunities. It kind of came in a wave, and it was like, hey, this is something. And then I was able to hold it, and I was able to hold the space for myself while I worked through that, whether it was the journal, the meditating, what have you. And then, she kind of just put it back down, and then I could continue on. And it just kind of came and went, versus my prior healing without was just like always in my face. But I wasn't really getting to those roots. So feminine, she's gentle. She comes and she goes, and she brings real stuff to you for you to deal with.
I love the way you speak. I know that I've mentioned this. You have an eloquence.
Thank you.
And a grace, and it's fitting that your name is Grace. But very graceful in how you speak and share and express yourself. I know that that's not always easy when we're talking about traumas and past hurts. As far as the microdosing, what is the mechanism in terms of the healing and again, the safety of leaning into those past hurts that maybe on that linear path you were, I'm not going to go there.
Mhm.
That's going to create too much dissonance. But the safety that the plant medicine and perhaps with
Mhm.
the group to support, and then also the structure of my
Yeah.
coaching and kind of rolling out the Worth the Fight psychedelic
Mhm.
integration practices and principles.
Absolutely. I think the first word that comes to mind is acceptance. That was like my foundation for the longest time. After making this bold life change, it kind of shifted something. And for my whole life, I've never accepted who I am as Grace Elizabeth Morse. I never did that. But my microdosing, it was like you can be gentle to yourself while you're healing. And it was like, let me discover who this woman is, because I don't even know her. I've been steeped in a culture where it's just go, it's constant go, and it's operating in such a linear path. So the mechanism was just self acceptance and self love. And I know that might sound kind of overused, and it is a lot in our culture, but I mean, when you can sit with yourself and literally hold and hug yourself and sit through an experience that happened, a decade ago or a decade and a half, there is such power in that I mean, it's undeniable what microdosing can do. I hope that answers your question.
Certainly does, and thank you. Your eloquence and the way you're describing that is a tremendous service offering, because certainly many
Yeah,
people exploring this path have
yeah,
past hurts and traumas and blockages.
mhm,
I just put
yeah,
up out today that there's a common thread in everyone that has been in the Magic Microdosing group coaching programs to this point, more or less. That we're all seeking to deepen into more self-love, clarity, and connection, and to
mhm,
move through whatever the heck kind of obstacles, challenges, traumas that are in the way, and
yes,
and to invite that possibility for someone that might be listening, that hey,
yes,
it's safe to feel all the
mhm,
feels, the good and the bad, and sometimes the ugly.
yeah,
And that's the process. We in embodying those emotions, we can move through, we can process them, clear that
right,
energetic bandwidth and space
right,
for new things that are aligned with our
mhm.
intention to come forth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love what you said a lot during the program was the very pain that you're feeling, lean into that. That's your power. I've never had anyone tell me that before. And that was often kind of the thing that would go through my mind that I would just lean on. Like, this is part of it, Grace. People say do the work. Well, what in the world does that actually mean? Right. And you have the keystone of what that is. And that's lean into it, because therein lies the answer.
Mm, beautifully said. What was your biggest takeaway from the 8-week program, or the biggest benefits?
Biggest benefit. It's kind of a two-part answer, if you don't mind. Okay. The first thing that I realized was my healing style. I kind of touched on it earlier, but just realizing that what I was doing before was not it. My bookcase of self-help books and hundreds of hours of therapy, that wasn't doing it for me. And to realize that a lot of the healing is just getting quiet and sitting with myself and actually doing it every day. Um, that was a concept that I truly avoided because it hurt too much. And that microdosing really softened the edge through these 8 weeks. So that was the first thing. And I think the second thing was the power of group healing. For the longest time growing up, community was never encouraged for me, building community, building family. And there's something about these people in this 8 week microdosing group that just happened. I love each and every single one of them to the core. And I love the fact that we're still, even outside of your program, we're still meeting up once a month, and we message each other, gosh, almost daily, just back and forth, encouraging this and that. And there is such a buoyancy to that offers in my daily practice that I think if I hadn't done your course, I wouldn't have appreciated that.
Mm, beautifully said all the way around.
Mhm,
I love the analogy of microdosing softening the edges,
mhm,
and it fuels my heart to know that the group has kept the good times rolling, and that you all are still meeting up. And this comes to mind that back in the 60s and 70s, Ram Dass said, or I think it was, find the others, and we're in a time of prohibition, and there's so the bullshit incorporated drug war programming, DARE, Nancy Reagan is so deeply rooted, and that conditioning is so strong that to be supported in a group of other people that are moving through a similar challenge, more or less. And it was a beautiful thing. I was very pleased to see that and to know that you all will have that support moving forward. And yeah, again, wonderful having this time with you, Grace. How has your life changed since we started versus now? And then we'll wrap this up. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. That's a great final question. I would say as I go throughout my days, I hold more space for myself. And before, I tried to keep myself on a one emotion track kind of day and to deal with the emotions at the end of the day. Now I go through my days, I'm moving my body more. And I'm allowing myself to have this, like I said, ebb and flow of emotions up and down. And I hold that space. And if a trigger comes, because the thing with microdosing is I feel like it's opened Pandora's box of all of these different facets that I haven't healed from. And the beautiful thing of it is revealed to me. What might be the downfall, people would say, is now you got to deal with it. So the thing is you never ask the universe more than what she can handle, because she's going to give it to you. And so I think now, because I have this whole box that's available to me, as I go through my days, I can feel myself getting overwhelmed. Like the old Grace was like, oh, this is a lot. This is a lot of hurt. I don't want to deal with this. I want to binge on Netflix and check out after 5 p.m. But now I'm like, no, I'm getting back into that like soft, primal, like spiritual part where I'm like, go for a walk. Like, think about this one thing that might not be painful. Go for a walk, move while you're thinking about it. So to be more specific, I think I'm finding a more organic flow with how I'm approaching my healing. And it's so interesting because I remember the connection call with you. My goal with the program was to be more creative and figure out my next business move. And that completely went out the window after week 1. I was like, you need to heal before you can heal others. So anyways, holding more space for myself has been the most glorious gift I think I've ever had thus far in my life.
Oh, beautiful to hear. And
yeah.
I appreciate your open-hearted share and illuminating the value of the magic and microdosing group coaching offering. Would you recommend it to someone else that might be seeking to heal, to tap into creativity, to tap into their accelerated personal growth?
Absolutely. Highly recommend to anyone that's, even if it's not just tapping into creativity, if it's just existing more in the present. I mean, you offer such an array of resources, throughout the entire 8 weeks, but the safe space that you hold, I think it's just infinite. And then I think it allows people to show up every week with whatever they're facing and lean into that. And I think there's no more beautiful form of therapy. I don't want to use the word therapy, but just you as a human being, your story and the space you hold, you say safe container. That's exactly what this is, and highly recommend for anybody. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Grace. If I was
You're welcome.
honor you and wish you all the best, and look forward to seeing all the wonderful work that you're going to do for our human family. And again, I'm really continually inspired by your courage to lean in, and it's been wonderful having this time with you.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.